Hey everyone, welcome back to the Circle Club. I'm Tyrone. I'm here with a very special guest, Marley of the Real Lovers podcast. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Tyrone. Thanks for having me. It's
Absolutely.
always great talking movies and TV with you. So
Oh, likewise, buddy.
yeah.
And I was super excited when you watched this, almost a little bit more excited than when you mentioned One Piece. Because I was like, I have no one to talk about this show with, and you're the perfect person to talk about it with.
Yeah.
So just opening up, you just watched this recently, like you just binged it. So I'm just curious, like, what were your thoughts on season one overall?
No, I absolutely loved every single moment of Invincible. I think that this is like a really fantastic show, like really well animated. Stephen
Hmm.
Yoon, just like an absolute god. And
Yeah, right.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think probably one of my favorite things about like this first season is just how it starts, because it starts like in a very kind of like unique way, and then by the time like the first episode ends,
Hmm.
it like when Omni Man is basically like kills like everyone.
Yeah.
uh
Yeah. It's just
I was just
ruthless.
like, okay, so we're going
Right.
here, and I feel like the whole, and then after that, it's like basically peeling back the onion of like who's gonna figure it out, and stuff like that. It's like the ball started rolling like really quickly. So
Yeah, what I in particularly loved about season one was like I had the same innocence that Mark had the first
hmm
season, where I was like, I'm like, I knew on like there was like, I mean, it's J.K. Simmons, and he always has to be somewhat of a grumpy, right? And
yes,
so I was like, so I'm like, okay, like maybe Omni Man's like Wolverine, where he's just ruthless. I was like, maybe Omni Man's gonna die, and that's sort of Mark's origin story because that's how it works. But
hmm
then you get this twist where it's like, no, we're gonna work together, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, like father son duo. And then it just has this 180 turn where Mark's like we find out that Nolan is really, we can't even call him Nolan Grayson. He doesn't even honor that name. He's Omni Man, and
hmm
he looks at Debbie, his wife, as a pet. Looks at these humans as insufficient. Like that was such a like whoa moment. Like Homelander, same network, makes you kind of go, what the? But then this guy to me is just like it's just takes it to somehow even more ruthless level.
hmm
Homelander's disconnected, but this guy had a family. So, what were your thoughts on that reveal?
Oh, exactly what you just said there. Like, like this, it gave me Homelander vibes, like with the whole Omni Man like kind of like twist, and it's almost like it's. I don't think it's as extreme as Homelander, because Homelander is
Mhm.
obviously like, just it's the ultimate extreme,
Nasty,
but
right?
I think it was actually a very like interesting way to like go with the character, and like I can see how they can build on it for like in future seasons.
Oh yeah, totally,
hmm
absolutely. Um, I also really love the friendship component of the first season as well.
hmm
Mark just having these normal friends who aren't superheroes, but also has Adam, Eve, who's a friend who
hmm
understands it. But then I just love the like authentic relationships that they all had amongst one another. His best friend being, sort of like he's sort of lost in the fray of it all as well.
hmm
And then when he gets the reveal that his best friend is invincible, he's like looking up at him. I thought that was a really cool sort of clever thing of like, because a lot of times they try to like you can see through the mask. Like
Yeah.
Spider-Man, we try to pretend you can't notice, or Clark Kent. So I kind of like that was revealed pretty early in the series as a whole as well, so that his
hmm
friends and family are in on it as well. Kind of made me think of Blue Beetle, how like his family knows about it. I think that's a fun dynamic to play with versus the typical have to keep everything a secret from everyone.
hmm
That was my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and I liked like the whole like comparison to Blue Beetle, because it definitely had like that sort of reveal where like when they did find out, they're like very accepting of who he
Yes,
was. I appreciate that, and it's
absolutely.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, like I agree. I really appreciated that, and I just felt that, you know. I went into this series really not knowing anything. I never watched the comics or read the comics or anything like
Mhm.
that. So it was a like big surprise to me. Did you have any background information going in before then?
Oh no, I didn't read the comics or anything like that. I was just going in because I love like what Amazon is doing like with these comic book like because another thing I really love about Invincible is that it uses kind of like recognizable, kind of like familiar comic book heroes, but they
Mm-hmm.
put they twist it because
Yeah.
obviously they can't get the rights. But
Right. Right.
it's an interesting way to kind of like still kind of call back to those, but kind of do something on their own. And
Yeah, it's
I totally
fresh
appreciate
takes.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Mhm.
Any final thoughts on season one overall that like anything stand out or anything that you want to mention? Anything you like in
Um,
particular?
it's I don't usually binge series, and this is like a series that was just super easy to kind of just plow through, just because, like, yeah, the episodes are like 55 minute plus, but there's so much that's happening in each episode, and I want to like continue on. So it's like for a non binge watcher, I was able to like binge it pretty easily. So.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad that you actually brought that up because I feel the same way a lot of the times.
Mhm.
And like there was a point when I was younger, I really loved the binge model, but
Mhm.
I like the older I get, I appreciate the weekly format
Yeah.
because it's you have these opportunities to have conversations like we are, and have discussions and kind of have that anticipation, which is fun.
Mhm.
So yeah, make sure you all subscribe and check out so that way weekly you can be a part of this journey with Marley and I.
Mhm.
But let's jump into season two. So season two, obviously we start out a lot different than how season one did. We have a shattered family. We have a young man who is afraid that he'll be just like his father. He even has this funny line where he basically says, why do you all keep saying that? If it's not true, then why do you all keep saying that? And so, it's interesting because I think the way Mark ended last season, I think his moral compass stayed pretty intact. I
Mhm.
think he's still like totally a good guy. I don't see him possibly. And so we start out this season in this alternate dimension,
Mhm.
and it's you're seeing like a bad version of Mark. Did you originally like what were your impressions and thoughts about that those first scenes?
First of all, as for someone that loves like good characters, and I know that Mark is actually a good, like you said, like he actually is a good, like good guy.
Yeah,
Seeing that was really shocking for me. I was
totally.
just like, it's just, uh, I don't know. You make fun of me all the time for like thinking about like the boys and
Yeah,
hoping that there would be a good character in that,
optimistic.
but so I was watching Invincible. I'm like, oh sweet, all these characters I'm actually liking and stuff like that. And then season two starts off with it. I'm just like, oh great, so we're just in the boys' territory now.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, but that's what we love about you, Marley. But also, just I agree. Like like Mark is uh, the way the season ended last year or a couple years ago. It was
Mhm.
just it made me kind of go, is Mark really like that stubborn where he won't let go? He's like, no, you love mom, you love me, and interestingly enough, it works at the end because Omni Man decides to fly away rather than kill him.
Mhm.
So I think there is this human element with Mark that is going to be on display a lot this season compared to these alternate dimensions.
Mhm.
And I think in these alternate dimensions, he may be born on Earth, but embraces his father's, teachings and lessons. We see, not to jump too ahead, we see Levi, who is played by Sterling Brown,
Yeah.
and he does a phenomenal job like he always does. But we see Sterling's character Engstrom Levi basically tell us, well, in all the other dimensions and under the other universes, Omni Man and Invincible end up joining forces. And so it's interesting that our Mark does not do that. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, Angstrom is basically playing like the Kihi Kwan from Loki season two, like like version in a way,
He's
and
creating his own TVA.
yeah, exactly. I I think that's like I love like the Angstrom character. I think that just everything like having that set up at how there could be like multiple like timelines
Hmm.
is always it can always be really fun, and I feel like the writers could be really creative on like where they can go like possibility.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because in this very saturated multiverse universe stories that we're getting right now in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting how with this multiverse they just sort of like poof into the
Mm-hmm.
sky,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how we see it. But also, it's alternate versions of the same characters that we already know, and then it makes me wonder, will they cross paths? Will that happen? Like, what effect does that play?
Mm-hmm.
Will Omni Man and Invincible have to join forces to go against themselves in another alternate? It just opens all these sort of ideas, and I liked that the Angstrom character, his motivation was to try to, like, I think he has good intentions ultimately, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this: it was a bit jarring to me that he blamed Mark for that. What about you?
Um, yeah, yeah. I think it was pretty. I think that there's still that we need to know about the Angstrom character, so it wasn't completely jarring for me.
Hmm.
I just think it kind of allows us to like ask ask a lot more questions about that character, about like why he, because maybe there's something in his past that he saw something like Mark do or something like that, or maybe
Mm.
or something like that. Does that make sense? Or
No, I like that theory a lot.
yeah.
Because if, especially if he's seen other universes, maybe in those other
Mm-hmm.
universes, those marks screwed up his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those marks and him have some past relationship, and he's just like, I'm tired of all these marks destroying my idea and my plan. So you're right. But
Kind of
I,
like a Miguel from Across the Spider Verse.
yeah, yeah, no, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I mean, when I say jarring, I guess what I meant was I was a little shocked. I think like that this twist reveal kind of thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned earlier, I thought that was maybe something we would get a little bit later with this character being the antagonist and things not going so well.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you think about that? Like, what was your initial impressions with that? Was that, did you like that direction?
I thought like you said, I thought I think it would have been interesting if they revealed like him being the antagonist a little bit later. But now, kind of like as we're talking about this now, like I'm starting to
Hmm.
realize like maybe he's the antagonist right now, but it's like he's just like it's going to be revealed or something like that, like a double agent sort of like where
Mm.
he's just saying that just to kind of like kind of go with the flow and stuff. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I think too, it's like, that's why I love what you said about we have to figure out who he is in his background, because it
Mm-hmm.
made me think like it seems like a guy who had good intentions that went wrong. It just went south. And
Mm-hmm.
so, is it possible for him to reverse that? Is it possible for him to sort of see good? I mean, he looks pretty messed up at the end here.
Right.
So
Yeah.
maybe not. Maybe
Yeah.
he's all out on it. But yeah, no, I definitely think he's going to be a fascinating character. And Sterling's such a great actor, great voice actor, that I'm
Mm-hmm.
really interested in that performance as well. What did you think about Immortal? This with this opening series, like, were there any thoughts or things that came to mind? I mean, he really lectures Mark about how he doesn't trust him. He's watching him. Like, what were your thoughts there?
Um. Yeah, I think it, I don't know. It's really hard for me, kind of like it's like especially with new characters like this to kind of like I like the character like so far, but and
Mm-hmm.
like the thing that what I love most about like Invincible is like when they introduce characters, they introduce them very like peeling back the onion and stuff like that. They introduce very interesting like and diverse characters that make me want to like know more about them. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like they're introducing characters just for the sake of introducing them. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see like how Immortal kind of like plays along Mark's story. I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of makes me think of like that Wolverine type of character. I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if, Omni-Man and like Immortus, like they have some sort of rivalry or beef going on, and then maybe it's almost like Immortus becomes like his mentor, and like
Mm-hmm.
that creates some tension there. But what you said is 100% right about how they introduce characters. There's always
Mm-hmm.
meaning or
Mm-hmm.
reason behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And another character that gets introduced is Bulletproof, and Bulletproof. We see that cool little Easter egg. He's wearing Mark's
Mm-hmm.
potential suit from the first season, that he doesn't end up going that direction. But we get Bulletproof where he takes that shot at Rex, where
Mm-hmm.
they're going back and forth a little bit in their dynamic. So he joins the Guardians. Do you have any thoughts on like his role in this larger story and with the Guardians?
Well, one Bulletproof is just really cool. I like that character a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that having like the element of him wearing kind of like Mark's like old like his first suit, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that like it's not just a I don't think that's a stylistic choice there.
Mm.
I think there's also going to be some meaning there. So like
Some foreshadow.
maybe he has like some connection like with Mark, like maybe in the past or something like that.
Mm.
I would like to.
Yeah, I could.
Mm,
I also wonder too. Maybe they're sort of foreshadowing that Mark will replace him and join the Guardians.
mm-hmm,
Maybe he's the one who eventually will get Mark to join the Guardians. There is some, I like again, like you said, there is certainly some reasoning behind introducing this character. They don't
mm-hmm,
just introduce characters for no reason.
mm-hmm,
So yeah. The other major thing that happens is Mark going to university and Cecil basically telling Mark, he's not ready.
mm-hmm.
Mark really wants to be a hero. He wants to join, and I love how Mark's like, "You can't tell me that I can't be a superhero." And he's like, "I heard the same thing from someone else," and like it kind of like puts the mirror in front of Mark's face to kind of be like, "That's what your pop said," You're kind of acting like daddy.
Right.
uh, yeah. So, what were your thoughts on the conversation with Cecil and Mark going to university and just trying to have a normal life?
I love that. I love like because like one of the things like when we're young, we always try to like mimic like our parents and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and like as we grow up, we want to like be better than them. But like when we look, like you said, like when we look in the mirror, when Mark looks in the
Yeah.
mirror, it's like, oh, am I actually like my dad and stuff like that. So I think that that was like I kind of hit a little bit too close to home for me, just because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
but but I don't know. I like that a lot, and also it just like Mark just trying to be like a normal kid because he went through a lot like in the first season. So
Yeah.
I it doesn't surprise me for him to have like this sort of like Peter Parker Spider-Man No Way Home trying to be like a just trying to
Do good
just
and
do good and just be like a normal kid like towards the end of the
yeah.
movie. So yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. And
Hmm.
that's why I thought that university scene was really powerful because, like, in all the action going on, I love these like real moments of just one-on-one
Hmm.
relationships, just eating a burger, going to class. Those little moments are really nice to
Hmm.
build character development. And that's something I think Invincible does super well.
Hmm.
Ultimately, in the end, Cecil does end up hiring him anyway to take out the Mahler twins, and Engstrom, and he's tasked with trying to figure out what's going on and what's happening in this layer, and he does it and he accomplishes the mission, but he kind of screws up, and I just feel so bad for Mark. I don't know about you, but I just feel so bad because regardless of what he does, I think at this point he's just it's never going to be enough for
Hmm.
him, you know. And I think Cecil was impressed. I think the Guardians were impressed, and you even noticed that earlier when the Guardians are fighting off that like child toddler monster thing,
Yeah.
they really
Very weird
struggle.
design. Very weird
Yeah,
design for
it
that.
it was definitely a bizarre thing, but
Yeah.
they struggle with that. But Mark is able to handle the Mahler twins and Engstrom, somewhat, kind of, right? And they're all really
Hmm.
impressed by that. What did you think about that? Like, did you feel bad for Mark? Did you think, this is Mark's moment? Like, what are your thoughts?
I like struggle when in characters. I like it when characters like try to tackle a situation and they're not the best at something.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Cecil, the way he brought him into the Guardians, it was more like he's he's teaching him. it's like yeah, he said he didn't think he was ready, but he was like,
Yeah,
oh, here's a perfect opportunity for him to
test.
dip your toes in the water, and
Right,
like yeah, he failed, but he also succeeded in other ways, and
right.
I believe that will allow Mark's character to grow like within the Guardians and for him to grow as like a hero. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I really love Cecil in general. I think his approach to things are like he can certainly be harsh, but I think like he has a good heart and he is
mm-hmm,
actually considering, the ramifications of bringing in a teenager this young and early
mm-hmm,
and, or first freshman in college. He realizes that, you have your whole life to do this stuff. Just go out and be a kid. You need those real life experiences. And I'm actually personally really excited this season to get more of those moments, the personal moments, the private moments, the human moments,
mm-hmm.
than the actual superhero moments, because I think that's some of the best writing here and some of the best development. And we've seen him struggle now a few times as as a superhero. So it'll be interesting to see how he struggles in his daily life and
Mm-hmm.
overcomes that and to use that within his superhero dynamic as well.
Yeah, totally. And I love like the father dynamics as well, because obviously Omni Man like whatever he's doing right now,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like not
yeah.
really around. So Mark definitely needs Mark needs that father figure just to guide him alongside his journey. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Cecil is going to be that for him throughout this series, not just
mhm,
this season. So I'm excited to see how that relationship furthers. Last thing we didn't talk about was just Olga counseling Debbie. Debbie's
mhm,
obviously depressed. She's going through it. And then you even see Mark be a little bit cold to her. I feel, of everyone in the series, she's really had it the most difficult, the most tough because
mhm.
she's lost her husband, her lover. She found out it was meaningless. And then now you have this son who is sort of getting involved in the same world of this man that you despise and love. And she's just feeling so many emotional. And I feel so bad for her. How do you feel right now?
I've always felt bad for her ever since like the first season, just because
Hmm.
she has been going through it. Like
Yeah.
she's the only person like in this family that doesn't have any powers, and she feels so
Hmm.
left out.
Yeah.
And not like that she wants powers, but it's like she's definitely being othered, and
Yeah.
like but even throughout all of that, like I respect her because she still tries her best to be the like a good mom to
Hmm.
Mark, and like I feel like I just love that. Like shout out to all the moms out there that have to go through the like hard shit.
all the single moms out
Mhm.
there, shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, Debbie's fantastic. And one thing that's like really been in the back of my mind that makes me terrified is like Mark potentially losing her. I don't think I'll be
Mhm.
able to sit through that scene. That would be like surpass like Aunt May for me. That would be so sad. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm like, this woman, like I just want her to go to Italy, get her pizza and wine and like relax.
Some eat pray love. Eat pray love.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But all right, so just to wrap this up here, what are some of your predictions for the season? And then as we do this, we'll go week to week. But just what are some of the things that maybe you would like to see this upcoming season, and what are some things you think we may see this upcoming season?
Like I said, like I not to repeat myself, but just to see Mark grow, like with the Guardians, and then like as you mentioned, I'm very optimistic, like kind of staying on Debbie. I just want the
Mhm.
best for Debbie. Debbie needs. She's been, like you said, she's been going on some lows. She
She
needs
needs
some
some
highs.
TLC.
Yeah, some TLC, yeah. But
Yeah,
I don't really like to make too many predictions like with shows, but
yeah.
I just like I'll just like to just state that everything in there's like they basically like put the pedal to the metal like with season 2, like
Yeah.
season 1 was very much setup, and then
Hmm.
season 2 they're like it's just bigger and
We're
better.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Totally. Yeah. No, exactly. Season two feels very much we're back. We're in this. We're running. We're not building up. Like, let's hop right into it.
Mhm.
One thing that I would like to see, I definitely agree. I would love Debbie to just get her moments, but I want to see I want to see more of Mark's relationship
Mm-hmm.
develop, and to kind of just see where it goes with Amber. It feels like they were trying to maybe do something with Adam Eve at the end of the last season. So I just want
Mm-hmm.
to see how that relationship goes. One thing I want to see too is like a little bit more William and Mark this season, and see how that friendship blossoms. Also see Mark and I mean, excuse me, see William have some relationships. We saw a little bit of that last season,
Mm-hmm.
which was nice, where he was falling in love with one of the guy on campus. That was like sort of a nice moment for us to see there. Nice little
Mm-hmm.
representation as well. So I think I definitely want to see a bit more of that. And just Amber in general. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like she's accepted. She's been there for Mark, so it'd be nice to see how that relationship blossoms as well. One thing I want to mention before we head out
Mm-hmm.
is, if you notice, the Invincible credit doesn't pop in until the very end. So we have
Mm-hmm.
a few moments where, in the beginning, we're in that alternate universe, Mark goes, I am, he does a pause, invincible. And like you expect it to come on the screen, it doesn't happen. You get
Yeah.
that moment later with Cecil and his assistant, where he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"We need invincible," and it just doesn't happen again. And like, so it goes through the entire episode, and I'm at the end, and I'm like, "Did we already get the title sequence? Did I miss that?" And then finally, at the end, Armstrong is just like, I will get my revenge on Invincible. Then it gets the red, like the full splat. We get the full red splat. I love the title sequence. I think that's such a cool, clever little play there.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to know your thoughts on that as well. Like, are you loving it as much as I am?
No, I love it. I love it when TV shows kind of have like they're playful with with their opening credits and just get creative like with each episode. And the thing that I love like even with the title sequence and how he just basically says like his name and then the title pops up is that it kind of reminds me a lot of like a podcast as well,
Mm.
where it's like you say the title and then the opening credits play and stuff like that. I think
Yeah.
it's really cool. So
I think it just the timing, these writers really know, because the timing is just so perfect every single time. Like,
mm-hmm.
when you forget, they don't always play it in the intros. So sometimes it's like 5 minutes in, sometimes it's 10 minutes in, sometimes it's at the end. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like, it always comes and hits perfectly, and you're just like, I love this show. Like, it just hits that like so well. So, but yeah, so Invincible, we're here, we're back. We're gonna be reviewing this weekly. Thank you, Marley, for hopping on. We look forward to seeing you. Make sure you check out Marley's page as well. And Marley, any last comments or thoughts?
Just thanks for having me. I'm excited to like break down these episodes week to week. As you said, a week to week model is the best model to have. So I'm just excited to see more of this season. Do you know how many episodes? I probably should have looked that up before we
Yeah,
started
I
recording.
have it on the screen below here. So this season is going to be 8 episodes, and
Okay.
it's gonna be split into two separate parts.
Mm-hmm.
So we will have to suffer a little bit um after we get 4 episodes, but I do think that this season's going to be really fantastic. So I'm excited as well. But Marley, thanks for coming on. Make sure you all subscribe down below. Marley's links will be in the channel as well. We're going to do some things on his page, so make sure you go ahead and subscribe and follow. And
Mm-hmm.
then comment down below, what were some of your thoughts on this opening episode, season 2 of Invincible. And we'll see you all next time. Make sure you subscribe. And as we always say, just be you. Peace.